Hello and a very warm welcome. Thanks for tuning in to News 9 Live. I'm Kabir Naqvi. Joining me here in the studio is my colleague Pankaj Mishra. And what Pankaj and I are essentially up to over the next couple of minutes is to help you catch the news pulse of the day. For all the stories that you might have missed out on, or all the stories that are upcoming, breaking, or stories that people are actually waiting for with bated breath when it comes to Imran Khan, or the new map that now China has put out, and the Article 370, the 12th day of hearing currently underway at courtroom number 1 in the Supreme Court. All of that is something that we're going to be focusing on. Do join us in the comment sections down below on any one of these segments. If you think you'd like to put forth your opinion, or you'd want us to take a question to, let's say, a guest who's going to be joining us very soon as well. Meanwhile, Pankaj, it seems like let's get the ball rolling. Kafi sari stories hain karne ke liye. Sabse pehle, let's quickly talk about what's happening in China vis-a-vis China's new map, where it has once again, for the second time in the recent past, claimed Arunachal Pradesh and the Aksai Chin within its own borders. Just to tell the viewers, the Chinese Natural Resources Ministry, it has released a map that showed Arunachal Pradesh and Aksai Chin as part of China's territory. It also ensured that Taiwan and the disputed South China Sea is also firmly within its territorial lines. Now, China's fresh provocation comes just 10 days ahead of the multinational G20 summit that is being hosted by India this year. Several world leaders, including the US President Joe Biden, France's Emmanuel Macron, Xi Jinping himself, will arrive in the national capital for the 3-day event from the 8th till the 10th of September. In April 2023, this very year, Beijing had unilaterally renamed as many as 11 Indian locations, Pankaj, inviting strong objections from India. Now, the map that has been released also follows days after the recent Modi and Xi Jinping meeting on the sidelines of the 15th BRICS summit in South Africa. So many factors at play, Pankaj. How does one go about it diplomatically? How does one go about it in terms of its own territorial safety? Because G20, 10 days, 15 days after the BRICS summit, Xi Jinping, Prime Minister, both having that particular conversation on the sidelines. This move is being looked at as a response to India holding these big events and meetings. Not for the first time. How does one look at it and go about it?
See, Kabir, this is not the first time, obviously, as you mentioned, that China has done this at times. So this map strategy backfires on China, and sooner or later, obviously, there would be repercussions as far as the global community is concerned. But as far as India is concerned, and time and again, India has made it clear that Arunachal Pradesh is and will be the integral part of India.
We're saying it as if there's a doubt about that.
Yes,
I'm saying there's a new mapping, there's a particular scheme under which, Beijing put forth this map out to its public. It was called Map Awareness Scheme, something like that. Right. I mean, tomorrow, if India, launches its own map and we put Beijing as part of our own territory, that doesn't really mean that Beijing is going to be our own territory, right?
Absolutely.
So, how about we do our bid to make our own people aware as well that, well, this definitely doesn't fly. It doesn't cut ice with at least how India looks at the foreign policy. And it seems like the word is clear. Pakistan is not that enemy that we were, looking towards Pakistan as an enemy for the longest time. Now we know it for a fact that our enemy in the South Asian and the South Pacific region is single-handedly China.
Yes, I mean, those factors do remain in place, Kabir, and you are right as far as, India's stand is concerned. It has not changed and it won't change also. It doesn't matter much, you're right, when it comes to China, unilaterally announcing or issuing a map showing Aksai Chin. For that matter, it's not just Aksai Chin and Arunachal Pradesh. They have claimed their, control over Taiwan, South China Sea regions. As east as Vietnam also, they have shown it. The Philippines has some problem there with, this Chinese new map. Now, what is happening is China, G20 and BRICS, sandwiched between these two international events. This particular event is at best going to gain China bad press. Okay, it is not going to get any sort of leverage or upper hand as far as this geopolitical dynamics are concerned. So Xi Jinping should rest assured that nothing much would be gained against out of it.
Two more factors at play here, Pankaj. And I mean, in my limited opinion, of course, do contradict if need be. The thing is that you have somebody like Xi Jinping and Wang Yi, who've time again come out and said that there are a lot of military alliances that are taking shape and place around China. Take a look at what the Quad has been. And the Quad is not a military alliance. Yet there are naval exercises that keep on happening. Taking a look at Taiwan and the United States as well. AUKUS, not really in the South Pacific, but then again, a bid to tackle or battle against the dragon. And then you've got Wang Yi and Xi Jinping saying that, the world is making these military alliances. Well, we are making these military alliances because of these particular actions. Any single day, you'll come out unilaterally calling out Indian territory as your own. That doesn't really fly. Now, military alliances, that particular angle, China has been claiming it time and again, alleging that, these Western countries are pressurizing China, we're not doing anything. But take a look at these. I mean, these steps, like you said, I mean, beyond bad press, there are military alliances that are taking shape.
Right. See, military alliances, invariably have been, taking shape, not just outside China, but also what is happening in Ukraine vis-a-vis Russia. China is wholeheartedly supporting
Russia and China carried out their own air drills themselves. It was a joint Air Force drill.
Absolutely. Then you talk about the Koreas. You have, South Korea doing joint drills with United States, where India has nothing to do. Once again, it is beyond, Indian borders also. So, for China to rake up this military alliances issue, I don't think once again makes any sense here, because as far as the defenses or the, safeguarding your own geographical integrity is concerned, that's the right of any country. But encroaching upon other countries is something that won't go down well, first of all. And secondly, I think like a spent bullet, once again, this particular attempt of China of showing, some territories as part of their own, no matter how many times this Global Times, the mouthpiece of China, keeps tweeting this picture that we are showing here, saying that this has been drawn and made using international technology, and the technology the international community uses it.
Utter stupidity, if I could use that word. If I could
absolutely
get a little bit more profane on air.
Yes.
And Pankaj, whilst I'm talking about that, I mean, my heart goes out to the people of China as well. This is, I mean, are you fooling your own, countrymen? I mean, you are making your own countrymen unaware of the fact that this is in fact not your own land. This is a part of India, but you want your own people. You're fooling your own people. Is that the foundation of Xi Jinping's third unprecedented regime? Because that's what people are talking about already on Twitter. That, Indians abusing the Chinese, the Chinamen. You've got the Chinese then hitting out against the Indians. And well, when Indians hit out against China, a little bit of Sri Lankan element comes in, a little bit of Pakistani element comes in. It's a, it's a handicapped war.
Well, see, I mean, we cannot look at, the relations or the lack of it between India and China without looking at the geopolitics of it. Yes, Pakistan, Nepal, China, for that matter, Bangladesh also.
But lying to your own countrymen.
Lying to your own countrymen. See, I mean, once again, CCP is known for its tactics of, running a governance which is bereft of any logic, any reasoning, and any sort of law and order also. The way the country treated its own people during COVID times, so we all remember, and I can say this with confidence, that no country ever treated their individuals and citizens the way China did during the COVID times, locking them out, dragging them from the hospitals, taking them to quarantine yards and dumping them on their own fate. That is something we have seen. The treatment of Uyghur Muslims in the western part, the province of China, also is something which the world has been calling out. But yes, thick-skinned as China would be, has never shown any sort of repentance as far as the treatment of and the human rights is concerned. So I don't. It doesn't come as a surprise to me, Kabir, that China, which fakes its own numbers, the GDP numbers, fakes its own growth rate, fakes its or hides its unemployment report, and then makes people work against their will just to match the production targets. This is something which is very quintessential China. And I think that China would be the last country on earth to actually promulgate and propagate a decent behavior.
That's actually very well put, Pankaj. And of course, what I learned back in my journalism school was, of course, the fact that what is being concealed is news, what is being revealed is not news. So I apologize that this is not news for many Indians out there, but it is a fact that Arunachal Pradesh and Aksai Chin very much a part, an important, integral part of the Union of India, and it's only a matter of time before the Ministry of External Affairs gives a befitting reply. And of course, you can tune into News9 live for all the latest developments that are coming out of the Ministry of External Affairs. Prime Minister Modi, Dr. S. Jaishankar, the poster boys that they've become for India's foreign policy, I mean, I'm sure they're not going to let this slide away just like that. And each and every time, even as those 11 places were unilaterally renamed earlier in the months, India is going to be giving a befitting reply very soon.
For sure.
So you can count on that, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's shift our focus here. Let's shift our focus from what's happening between India, China, and the map row, and how does India tackle the dragon, battle the dragon. Let's shift our focus of how India is going to tackle what used to be a princely state here. I'm talking about Article 370, focus on Jammu and Kashmir. Now, the hearing of a batch of petitions that have challenged the abrogation of Article 370, they were taken up. It's the 12th day of the hearing that's taking place today inside courtroom number 1. It's the senior most bench in the country right now, and these hearings, these particular petitions, Pankaj, are being taken up after a gap of 4 years. Of course, you had 2.5 years of strict and tumultuous COVID-19 also in the middle, but der hai durust hai, baatcheet shuru ho chuki hai, 12 din ho chuke hain, and in these 12 days, of course, we will talk about the key highlights and the key insights of what's taking place today, because now Solicitor General Tushar Mehta, after Kapil Sibal, after all those lawyers who were representing those particular petitions that challenged the scrapping of Article 370. Now, Tushar Mehta is in the court. The Solicitor General is putting out the government's point of view.
Right.
And when he is putting out the government's point of view, today he began the arguments by saying that I'm going to talk about 3 things. I'm going to talk about our interpretation of Article 370, which in our opinion is the correct and the most sound interpretation of Article 370. Then we will talk about the State Reorganization Act. And lastly, we will talk about the legislative powers. Now, again and again, Pankaj, it seems like there is so much of confusion between legal terms and verbiage and terminology. Already people don't know what is an orbiter dicta, people don't know what this act is, people, Kapil Sibal directly talking about, sir, but 363 and 353, I mean, people out there don't really know what Article 363 or 353 actually is. People know 370 and people know 35A, the special status, people know about their fundamental rights, but, these terminologies and these numbers, the figures, they really, really confuse you a lot. So, how does one go about understanding the Article 370 situation? From where I'm coming, it seems like it's a question of was Article 370 permanent or temporary? Did the Constituent Assembly, the erstwhile Constituent Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir, did they want to retain Article 370 or not? And is the princely state matter, is Jammu and Kashmir really a unique princely state when compared? Because today, Tushar Mehta has already cited Madhav Rao Sindhya's case.
Right. See, Kabir, obviously, the thin line that is being tread upon the Supreme Court as far as this delicate matter of Article 370 in Jammu and Kashmir is concerned. First of all, why this matter is in the court? Obviously, I would say it's the victory of democracy and the rights of the people of Jammu and Kashmir has been given due respect. And owing to which the pleas that were put in the Supreme Court challenging the government's decision on the abrogation of Article 370 is in the hearing. As you mentioned, yes, Tushar Mehta, who is the Solicitor General, he is representing the government in Supreme Court, and he said that the Constitution framers did not intend for Article 370 to be permanent. So this is what the centre said yesterday, and now a lot of developments have just trickled in, if I may
Right.
For the
The
benefit of
Solicitor
viewers.
General here says, Pankaj, and I'm reading from the live blog that I have opened here. It says, here is a border state where one of our territories is occupied by Pakistan. We have POK, now don't we? I have given figures of deaths taking place every year. This is a problem faced by a nation since decades, which the current dispensation is trying to sort out. So this is what the Solicitor General says, that what's happening after 370 is something that we should be focusing on. The G20 tourism summit took place. The Miss World competition, the beauty pageant, is going to take place over there, which is the second really hefty high table event that's going to take place after the G20 tourism summit earlier in the months, and that's going to happen in December again. The violence, has it gone down or has it not gone down? Is it a new phenomenon? Is it an old phenomenon? It's something that people can debate about, but in terms of legality,
Right, Kabir, there is some information which has just come in Supreme Court, and I'll reading it verbatim as it has come from the Supreme Court. Supreme Court ने केंद्र से ये बताने को कहा कि जम्मू कश्मीर का राज्य का दर्जा बहाल करने के लिए कोई समय सीमा है और इस प्रगति का रोड मैप क्या है। एसजी तुषार मेहता को लंच ब्रेक के बाद इस निर्देश के साथ वापस आने के लिए कहा गया है। So basically, what Supreme Court has asked the center is that to establish the status of a state to Jammu and Kashmir, what is the timeline for it and what is the roadmap? This is what the Supreme Court has asked Solicitor General
Another important question. It seems like this is a lunch break for everybody else, but definitely not a lunch break for Tushar Mehta. Certainly, because he's going to be rummaging through various files and various cases and trying to come up with a time frame.
Definitely, and response from the center, again I'm reading it out as received from Supreme Court. केंद्र ने सुप्रीम कोर्ट को बताया कि जम्मू कश्मीर और लद्दाख केंद्र शासित प्रदेशों में विभाजित करना एक अस्थायी उपाय है. दिस इज नॉट अ परमानेंट मूव ऑफ बाइफर्केटिंग जम्मू कश्मीर एंड लद्दाख एज टू सेपरेट एंटिटीज, और भविष्य में जम्मू कश्मीर केंद्र शासित प्रदेश को वापस राज्य के रूप में वापस कर दिया जाएगा. So they would be once again made one state. This is what the center is saying.
This right here is news, ladies and gentlemen. The center has now told the Supreme Court, and correct me if I'm wrong, Pankaj, the bifurcation of Jammu and Kashmir, which happened after the abrogation of Article 370, is it just a temporary measure?
This has been mentioned and maintained by the Home Minister quite a few times. Yes.
All right.
And Supreme Court ने पूछा कि ये कितना अस्थायी है और जम्मू कश्मीर में चुनाव कब होंगे. एसजी तुषार मेहता ने कहा कि उस लक्ष्य तक पहुंचने के लिए कदम उठाए जा रहे हैं. सो वेरी क्लियर कैंडिड कॉन्वर्सेशन इन सुप्रीम कोर्ट, पुटिंग द फिंगर एट द पल्स, सेइंग दैट ये बताइए कि ये कितना टेम्पररी और कितना अस्थायी था, ये इनको सेपरेट करना जम्मू कश्मीर और लद्दाख को, और इनको राज्य का दर्जा कब दिया जाएगा, चुनाव वहां पर कब होंगे और उसके लिए क्या समय सीमा है और क्या रोड मैप है, इसको सुनिश्चित करना है. सो वंस अगेन क्लियरली, आई मीन दिस इज I would say, Kabir, it's reaching the moot point here, where obviously the questions that matter are
the restoration of statehood of Jammu and Kashmir has now.
That's the question.
We began on day one talking about the permanency of Article 370, or whether the president, without the concurrence of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, which essentially means the Constituent Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir, which ceased to exist. It's been God knows how many years.
Right.
Without that, can it do something like that or not? That was the question. Now, the statehood of Jammu and Kashmir and a roadmap for its progress is something that the Supreme Court has asked Tushar Mehta to come back with after lunch. So after lunch, some more fireworks in the courtroom, Pankaj.
Indeed, and obviously bringing once again driving home the point, Supreme Court, and I'm quoting it here once again, Supreme Court ने केंद्र से ये बताने को कहा है कि जम्मू कश्मीर का राज्य का दर्जा बहाल करने के लिए कोई समय सीमा है और इस प्रगति पर रोड मैप क्या है. एसजी तुषार मेहता ने कहा है कि he would get back after the lunch session. The center also told the Supreme Court that जम्मू कश्मीर को जम्मू कश्मीर और लद्दाख केंद्र शासित प्रदेशों में विभाजित करना एक अस्थायी उपाय है. Now this is very interesting, Kabir, here, saying that there was a time when
bifurcation is temporary.
The bifurcation is temporary, so Ladakh becoming a union territory, or Jammu Kashmir also became a union territory with or without the assembly. That was the only difference between Jammu Kashmir and Ladakh, was a temporary decision, and भविष्य में जम्मू कश्मीर केंद्र शासित प्रदेश को वापस राज्य के रूप में वापस कर दिया जाएगा। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने पूछा कि ये कितना अस्थायी है और जम्मू कश्मीर में चुनाव कब होंगे। तो चुनाव, द इलेक्शन इज वेरी क्रिटिकल हियर बिकॉज डिलिमिटेशन इज आल्सो गोइंग साइड बाय साइड।
एब्सोल्युटली।
एंड तुषार मेहता ने कहा कि उस लक्ष्य तक पहुंचने के लिए कदम उठाए जा रहे हैं। आई थिंक ही इज रेफरिंग टू नॉट जस्ट द सिक्योरिटी सिचुएशन बट आल्सो द डिलिमिटेशन, अदर democratic steps that need to be taken in order to maintain it. So
Absolutely.
This is what you have here on the screen.
Towards restoration of statehood to Jammu and Kashmir, this coming from the Solicitor General, which essentially means the government is saying this. And Pankaj, you pointed out that the Home Minister has said it time and again. But will we get answers to the three primary questions that we're asking, that we began asking when the hearing began? I mean, restoration and bifurcation, all of that happened post the abrogation. A delimitation and elections is something that is being looked at post the abrogation, and whether these two, Jammu and Kashmir, will they finally get together again, is also something that we will have to look at. It's all future oriented. But the three questions that we began asking: the permanency, how can you carry out the will of the people via an executive act, via various acts and ordinances being passed in the parliament, for example, and lastly, of course, the role of the Constituent Assembly, and whether princely state like Jammu and Kashmir was a unique case, because Jammu and Kashmir was one princely state, Pankaj, that had its own constitution.
Yes,
no other princely state had its own constitution. So is it unique? Was Article 370 permanent or was it temporary? And finally, do you carry out political will via an executive act? Those are the three questions that need to be answered. However, crucial information that we're now getting, that restoration towards statehood is something that the government is keenly focused on. After lunch, Tushar Mehta, it seems, is going to come back with a set of instructions. I don't really want to know who Tushar Mehta is now going to dial up next to understand what is at his at his disposal in terms of his weaponry. What can he come back with? Certainly asking for some more time is one aspect that can be looked at, but big development taking place inside the Supreme Court.
No, definitely. See, obviously, this whole scenario playing out in Supreme Court is again, comes in line with what we call law is taking its own course, and for the centre to justify, which I think it has done. Over the period of 4 or 5 years that the Article 370 has been abrogated for. Not, I wouldn't say that government would be in any case on a back foot, but yes, so the questions that remain, that's what the Supreme Court is asking as of now, that what's the future strategy, what's the roadmap for future, what happens. I mean, time and again, the centre has said that yes, this abrogation, this bifurcation of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh is not permanent. So when are they going to be merged again? What is the plan for the elections, and what is the strategy for for the days and months and years to come ahead is concerned? This does not in any case mean that the Supreme Court is challenging the move of the central government to abrogate Article 370. That's not the output. The crux of the matter, Kabir, here lies that the Supreme Court has asked futuristic questions, forward-looking questions, and that's what the government would be responding to.
Right, absolutely. Essentially putting the government, right on the spot, and we'll have to wait and watch as to what happens right after lunch. Meanwhile, some reactions that have come in. Let's listen into those real quickly.
The interpretation which your lordships are, my lord, prima facie now testing.
We're testing it.
No, we are testing it. The prima facie testing it. Lord, what will be the impact of that interpretation? I'll read, my lord, the entire Article 370. Meaning thereby, my lord, in absence of a constituent assembly, which can never be modified, the sub-article 3 can never come into effect, come into operation, and 370 gets the status of a permanent provision. Lord, please read it in totality. My lord, please read the entire article. My lord, for my satisfaction, please have a look at, my lord, the entire article. Notwithstanding anything in this constitution, your lordships can skip. The power of parliament to make laws for the said state shall be limited to those matters in the union list and concurrent list. Your lordships have seen, my lord, those the precedent here. The provisions of Article 1 and of this article shall apply in relation to that state. The purpose is that Jammu and Kashmir can do nothing in their constitution, or even parliament can do nothing in their constitution. So I really appreciate, my lord, the difficulty, my lord, if your lordships accept that, then even 368 route, which is the second route suggested, cannot be done, because it says one and this article shall remain. If that is the meaning given, that is completely unalterable, then 370 remains as a permanent, though there are a host of considerations for me to show that it has always been a temporary feature. Further, such of the other provisions of this constitution shall apply in relation to that state, subject to such exceptions and modifications as the President may by order specify. My lord, other provisions would mean other than B.
Yeah, just stopping you for a minute. Could the Legislative Assembly make a recommendation in terms of 371A saying that under 367 you equate Constituent Assembly with Legislative Assembly?
Under 371?
What D? 370 sub clause 1 subclause D. Could the Legislative Assembly make a recommendation saying?
If it is amendment, it cannot.
Just think about it and then answer. Could the Legislative Assembly make a recommendation to the Parliament, please amend Article 367 and
Well, let me give it a thought and my lord respond to that. My lord, that I understand the heart of the matter. Your lordship's lord discussion, my lord, is driving that any 367 use which has the impact of altering 370 itself, my lord, then my lord, we would be setting at not all 367 usages. My lord. But kindly remember, through the 367 mechanism, 370 has been modified.
But now Article 370, Pankaj, a lot of people from the political spectrum have also weighed in on this. Shashi Tharoor earlier, several leaders of the Congress party. But today Manoj Jha, he's also reacted on the ongoing Article 370 hearing. Would you want to listen into what Manoj Jha had to say?
Yeah, let's listen in, definitely.
All right.
अभी माननीय सर्वोच्च न्यायालय में है, मेरी कोई टिप्पणी करना उचित नहीं होगी। जो हमें कहना था अपने दल के बिहाफ पे, हमने सदन के अंदर कहा था। और जो कश्मीर और जम्मू या लद्दाख के जो हालात है, उस सरकार की कार्यशैली पर बहुत बड़ा प्रमाण पत्र है। आप चूक गए, आप असफल हो गए। जो सेंस ऑफ एलिनेशन है लोगों के बीच में ना, वो रेटोरिक से उसका पेट नहीं भरता, वो चीजें बदलती नहीं है। दिल्ली से बैठ करके आप कह दो नॉर्मल नॉर्मल नॉर्मल, और वादी में, अब मैं कश्मीर घाटी में या जम्मू में या लद्दाख में आपके उसका रिवर्बरेशन नहीं होता है। आपके लिए ये बड़ी चिंता का विषय होना चाहिए था। झूठ के पुलिंदों पर देश नहीं चला करते। देश हकीकत में आप किस प्रकार अपनी नीतियां बनाते हो, उससे चलते हैं।
Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, shifting our focus very quickly here, because very soon we'll have to cut across to visuals of the former Pakistan Prime Minister, because this is the latest that we're tracking. Pankaj, take a look. Islamabad High Court has suspended the Toshakhana verdict on Imran Khan's appeal and ordered to release him on bail. Certainly a big development coming out of Pakistan. He was fined about 1 lakh Pakistani rupees, 3 lakh, 3-year jail sentence for him. The Supreme Court had earlier intervened and said that there are procedural problems with Islamabad High Court's verdict. We will wait for the verdict. Yesterday, like Pakistan news channels say it, उस order को महफूज कर लिया गया था, लेकिन आज Islamabad High Court, this is what it has put out. It is ordered to release former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan on bail. The Toshakhana verdict has been suspended by the Islamabad High Court. Already earlier, a sedition case was quashed. Before that, the Supreme Court came as a big relief for Imran Khan, saying that there are procedural lapses, but before intervention we will wait for the Islamabad High Court's verdict on it. That verdict was reserved yesterday for today, and finally today from Amir Farooq, if I'm not wrong, who's the Chief Justice of Islamabad High Court, he has put out this bench has given out this order. Imran Khan's Toshakhana verdict has been suspended. So new lease of life for Imran Khan.
Absolutely, Kabir. And looks like Imran Khan, obviously the skipper of once the captain of Pakistani cricket team, is not clearly on the mat, hasn't been bowled out, and there were questions that what happens to Imran Khan, what lies ahead, but this is what is there in front of him as of now. The Toshakhana case, for which he was sentenced for 3 years in jail.
Much anticipated order, Pankaj. Much anticipated order. I think the entire South Pacific was looking towards this particular order. And you know what? Rahul Gandhi's suspension case was something that also featured in the hearings. And I mean, that's the level of and the magnitude of the hearings that went on. You have somebody from the subordinate court calling out the Supreme Court of Pakistan, saying, how can you even intervene in a matter of your subordinate court? That is, it's wrongdoing, it can't be done. The Supreme Court says, okay, fine, we'll wait for the Islamabad High Court's verdict. Islamabad High Court verdict says the Toshakhana verdict has been suspended. Already a sedition case has been quashed. The Supreme Court seemed to be on, Imran Khan's side, but now it seems like huge relief for Imran Khan. All those analogies about being hit wicket, about being the last over, the death over, this spell, that spell, it seems like it's not working out. The fan following stays. Imran Khan at least lives to fight another day.
Well, it does, and obviously this has come as a relief to him because see, Imran Khan as of now out of power is facing a very critical existential crisis, I would say here, because for his role and for his importance there, obviously there is not much that is being left for people to write about. So, but again, coming back from the ashes, I would say, for him to get this reprieve from the court certainly is something which has come as a shot in the arm. Obviously, for the supporters, PTI supporters, needless to say, red letter day once again. We saw what happened in Pakistan when he was, arrested before.
The Zaman Park, entire fiasco at Zaman Park. You have the army, you have the police, you have the multitude of Pakistan that's right there. I mean, big, huge news. What does it mean for PTI? What does it mean for Pakistan politics? That is something that we'll have to look at. Just to reiterate to all the viewers, the Islamabad High Court has now suspended PTI chairman Imran Khan's conviction and 3-year sentence in the Toshakhana case, where he was fined for 1 lakh Pakistani rupees, 3 years jail sentence as well. His earlier sedition case was quashed very recently, and earlier the Supreme Court had intervened, calling out the procedural lapses, but waited for Islamabad High Court's verdict. That verdict has come in today, a much awaited verdict. People were constantly talking about what is going to happen to Imran Khan, what's going to happen to PTI, and what's going to happen to the political spectrum in the days to come when Pakistan is being looked at. On the 5th of August, a trial court in Islamabad had convicted the PTI chief in the case filed by the Election Commission of Pakistan. The ECP lawyers have been in and out in this massive hearing that involved concealing details of state gifts, ladies and gentlemen, state gifts, and jailed Imran Khan, the former premier of Pakistan, for 3 years. The verdict meant he was disqualified from contesting general elections for 5 years, which is where the similarities were drawn to Rahul Gandhi's case back here at home. But needless to say, let's not digress. Joining me here in the studio is my colleague Aditya Rajkol. Aditya, big news coming out of Pakistan. Everybody was waiting on for this particular verdict. It was supposed to come at 11 a.m. Pakistan time, but it seems like we've had to wait a little bit more. But now that it's out, how are you looking at this big verdict? And do throw in your opinion on the factors of the recent sedition case being quashed and Supreme Court's comment on the procedural lapses as well.
Well, it's a setback for the army. It is a setback for the army, the deep state of Pakistan, and a win-win situation for Imran Khan and his supporters. It was, in fact, in the court number 1 of the Islamabad High Court where this verdict came in just a few minutes back, where the much talked about Toshakhana case, where Imran Khan was convicted for 3 years and there was a sum of money that had to be deposited as well. There's a lot of propaganda that was done by the deep state and the Pakistani media against Imran Khan on it. And of course, he was imprisoned for the last several days immediately after the verdict came in. And now we are hearing that a division bench comprising of Chief Justice Amir Farooq and Justice Tariq Mahmood Jahangiri have in fact suspended this particular sentence against Imran Khan. We'll wait and watch how the PTI supporters will welcome him. There will be a grand welcome, a show of strength that will be held in Islamabad and at the Zaman Park residence of Imran Khan. But many people had been anticipating this because, within, the system of Pakistan, there are many who continue to support Imran Khan as well and perhaps have the courage and the conviction to stand against the Pakistan army or the deep state. But having said that, I would also say here that you never know. It could be that the deep state of the Pakistan army is still in talks with Imran Khan or his supporters, and something may be worked out. Because let's remember, there are other political leaders also who are under prison. We have Shah Mahmood Qureshi.
Right.
We have several others, including Fawad Chaudhry and the former Human Rights Minister of Pakistan, who have left the party, who say that they have nothing to do with PTI or Imran Khan. And now we have the daughter of Shireen Mazari, Iman Mazari, also who's a lawyer and a prominent activist.
Only today, that particular case also.
They've been arrested. They've been arrested, right. And they are in prison on charges that don't stand any ground. So we'll have to wait and watch what's the strategy of Pakistan army really, because if Pakistan army really wanted, they would have not allowed any kind of a release of Imran Khan to happen. So how the chess is playing out here, the House of Cards,
quite interesting.
Is quite interesting.
His disqualification, potential disqualification and imprisonment, people were already talking about, how the PTI leader is going to now re-strategize, in terms of their own political mileage and elections. Now that this verdict has been suspended, there is going to be a new re-strategizing. It's going to be back to the whiteboard again for PTI.
Not just for the PTI, but for all political parties.
Absolutely.
Because let's remember that while Imran Khan was in prison, the current coalition government was celebrating. And in fact, I remember just a few days back, Shehbaz Sharif went to London to meet Nawaz Sharif and actually announced that Nawaz Sharif will return to Pakistan after an exile in October. And it was almost clear that the PMLN is going to put in Nawaz Sharif as the Prime Ministerial candidate. And when the elections happen in a few weeks from now, it will be Nawaz Sharif who will be the Prime Minister, perhaps with the support of the Pakistan army.
Imran Khan is going to be standing there right at the front of the red carpet, waiting to welcome Nawaz Sharif.
Well, you don't know what happens in Pakistan. You don't know which side the Pakistan army
really supports. Why do you think
supports.
this sudden change? Because in the run-up to the, to the verdict and the imprisonment in all these cases, the sedition case as well, it seemed like Imran Khan was being cornered. It seemed like, the army and the institutions were sort of cornering Imran Khan. But suddenly this change, and Aditya, I remember talking to you as well, that his sway on the multitude of Pakistan, on the people who are actually his supporters, we all remember the Zaman Park episode now, don't we? That is something that can never be overlooked.
See, Pakistan army isn't an army or isn't a force that is going to surrender. They're the kingmakers. The Pakistan army really orders from Rawalpindi GHQ whatever politically happens in Pakistan or otherwise. So I don't think that here is a situation where the Pakistan army has surrendered before Imran Khan and said that, okay, you do whatever you want to and we'll support you. Perhaps there's a deal that could have been achieved, but I don't say that with full confidence right now, because we'll have to still watch what the next few steps would be, because there are several other political leaders who are under prison, and there are several other cases that are pending before against Imran Khan as well in several courts across the country. So one thing that is important to note, which you also mentioned, is that there's a grassroots level support that Imran Khan has, not just in Pakistan, in different sections of the society of Pakistan, but abroad. So he's getting money from abroad for his political party, a great narrative building as well. And at the ground level, if elections are happening tomorrow, he will be a clear winner. Perhaps Pakistan army also realizes this, that there is a massive movement of support in favor of Imran Khan, and there's no other politician, even Nawaz Sharif or Bilawal Bhutto or even the radicals out there, who are even close to challenging the popularity of Imran Khan. So I think what we had really witnessed after the arrest of Imran Khan was end of a chapter, but this is perhaps only a beginning of a huge chapter of Pakistani politics and this house of cards that is playing out. And perhaps it's still GHQ Rawalpindi, which is really, pulling the threads.
Well, I'm waiting for the next episode of our docu-series on Imran Khan, because he's now given us the premise for that. And what next now? Imran Khan is going to have a different air about him. we're going to see again with the PTI, flags behind him, a press conference very soon on the microblogging website? Is that what's going to follow next?
I'm sure he's going to really play a victim and say whatever happened inside the prison, because there are already cases before several courts in Pakistan saying that basic amenities were not given to Imran Khan. There were human rights abuses that were taking place against Imran Khan inside the prison. He wanted to go to the Attock jail, in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, but he was kept inside here. So as of now, I think there will be a great PR building campaign and narrative shaping campaign by Imran Khan at the PTI. But let's remember, all the political parties in Pakistan were almost preparing for elections. There was a caretaker government in place. Mr. Anwar is the Prime Minister right now, caretaker Prime Minister, and he's the guy directly selected by the Pakistan Army. So it isn't that Pakistan Army isn't in control, it is the Pakistan Army that is building a narrative, shaping a narrative, and perhaps a strategy to dominate on the internal politics and the internal security of Pakistan. Will they be on the right path? Only time will tell. And whether Imran Khan's fate has again been sealed will be clear in the next few days.
Imran Khan was also, quick to call out why his case was again being transferred to the session court's judge, which he thought he was out of favor from. And the Supreme Court then comes in. How big of a factor do you think the Supreme Court's intervention was in this particular case? Because the Supreme Court interpreted the procedural lapses. There was a lot of ire from the Bar Association, the bar community of Pakistan, and they categorically said that, why do you want a superior court to intervene, what a lower court has to say. Naeem Haider Panjuta's tweet on the big screen over here, Aditya, the Chief Justice has accepted our request while suspending the sentence. He has said that a detailed decision will be taken later. So this is not the end of the road suddenly. So people can stick to their analogies of being hit wicket, death over, last over, final over, all those cricket analogies. They'll still work. Good news for all media rooms across the country right now. But in terms of the Supreme Court factor, do you think that in the end helped out Imran Khan and sort of changed how the Islamabad High Court was looking at the case?
Well, there are two things here. There are perhaps some judges who still have a conscience. And on the other hand, there's a clear divide. This divide is very much visible and vibrant in the sense that there are still many judges and lawyers and senior advocates who are in support of Imran Khan. But there are many others who cannot, in fact, question the Pakistan Army or go against him because their life could be under threat, their family's life could be under threat, and their future career.
A lot of pressure.
Absolutely. Pressure tactics is something that the Pakistan Army uses continuously, not just against politicians, but against activists, against judges, against any constitutional body.
Sometimes their own generals.
Absolutely. Against their own generals. You saw what happened to Lahore Corps commander and all the generals who refused to take orders by the Pakistan Army top leaders. So, as of now, it clearly seems that it is the Pakistan Army that is driving the agenda really. But what have they decided for Pakistan's former Prime Minister Imran Khan is something to be seen. As of now, it's a temporary suspension of the Toshakhana case against Imran Khan. That means he'll be immediately within the next 24 hours released from the prison. But is this the end of the road, or there are other cases in which he will be arrested and tried is something to be seen. But one thing is very amply clear, that in the next 24 to 48 hours, we'll see him on a video addressing live directly his supporters. Something perhaps who has learned it from the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, not using any other media channels, etc., but directly going to the audience, connecting with the people and speaking directly to them, the masses who support him, who love him.
Even as he plays the victim card, he does not shy away from, heaping praises on India and how India's, foreign policy is the right way of going about it. That's how he plays his victim card. And we've got one particular visual from inside the courtroom as well. Nothing significant per se, Aditya, but still, I mean, you do get a glimpse of Jinnah Sahab up there on top. That
this is basically the court number 1 of the Islamabad High Court. This is a picture that has been taken by a journalist friend this morning. And this is the court where the double bench actually gave the historic verdict. And there are Pakistani
journalists. This double bench including the Chief Justice of the Islamabad High Court.
Absolutely.
Amir Farooq.
Absolutely. This was a double bench headed by the Chief Justice of Islamabad High Court. And there's a jubilation among the journalists also who say that while there are pressure tactics by the Pakistan Army, all abide by what the deep state says, but sometimes there are historic verdicts too, and this perhaps could be one. But knowing the Pakistan army, knowing their tactics, knowing their strategy, we shouldn't really be so excited or happy, immediately.
Naeem Haidar's tweet, we already read that out. It's
Yeah.
going to be a collective decision, a detailed decision.
Yeah.
What will this detailed decision entail is something that we'll have to wait out for. But, even as we wrap this discussion up, big news coming across from Pakistan, Aditya. Some global repercussions, would you like to throw some light on that as well? The G20 is happening here. The BRICS recently happened. Pakistan's, inclusion was something that was spoken about. India rejected that, straightforwardly. But Pakistan's, former premier, now his verdict being suspended, him being back in the electoral fray, will it have global repercussions as well?
On a lighter note, first I'll say that in 2019, the Information Broadcasting Minister of Pakistan, Fawad Chaudhry, put out a tweet, mocking the Chandrayaan-2 mission, which had failed, and saying that why is India wasting money on the Chandrayaan mission or going to the moon when there are still many people under poverty, the economy isn't as much stable as it should be. And now we see Fawad Chaudhry, the same person who has quit that political party of Imran Khan, and now Fawad Chaudhry texted me, Kabir. Fawad Chaudhry texted me on the day Chandrayaan-3 mission was a success, congratulating me on this moon mission, and then tweeting that I congratulate the people, while the space body of Pakistan came out and said that we don't have an internet connection as well, because people within the deep states think that if we get an internet connection at the space body of Pakistan, then state secrets will be out immediately by the Mossad and RNAW and the CIA. So this is the state of Pakistan.
Who is really safe in this deep state? And you also saw that meme, right? That हम तो already चांद पे हैं, चांद पे पानी नहीं आता, यहाँ पे पानी नहीं आता, बिजली नहीं आती, यहाँ पे बिजली नहीं आता, हम तो already चांद पे बैठे हैं. That was also a meme that was doing the round. But in terms of global repercussions?
I don't see any global repercussions because everybody seems to be maintaining a safe distance from Pakistan. They don't want to grapple with their internal, strifes. They don't want to get into it. They will issue an ordinary statement saying that, there should be talks, there shouldn't be any violence, there should be a stable government given to the people of Pakistan. That's what they deserve. But as of now, it could be a strategy by the Pakistani deep state also, that while G20 is happening in New Delhi, instead of attention towards Pakistan, where there is internal strife and politics and a former prime minister inside the prison, the most famous one at that, they don't want this diversion of narrative happen. So that's why perhaps it could be a temporary relief for Imran Khan, and perhaps after the G20 he could be back in the prison.
Well, all right then. So it seems like what next for PTI is going to be something that we're going to have to look at. But what next for the Sharifs? I mean, I'm sure this particular information made them, it's a little difficult to gulp this particular information for the Sharifs.
As of now, Kabir, I am amply clear that Nawaz Sharif or Shehbaz Sharif will not announce their return to Pakistan without the approval of the Pakistan Army. So, and the Pakistan Army is in no mood to go with Imran Khan yet again for the elections. And a temporary government has only been announced so that we have a new player in the game. And perhaps it's time for the Pakistan Army that they've decided that a new player should be brought in, and this new player undoubtedly seems to be Nawaz Sharif, who will do the balancing act of going with the Pakistan Army and perhaps reviving the economy of Pakistan, because he is known as an entrepreneur, he is known as someone who runs the government as an entrepreneur. His sons are entrepreneurs, doing business with Indian industrialists, including the Jindals. So as of now, I feel that Pakistan Army has decided that the game is on, very much on, elections will happen, and it will be the Sharifs who will be in power. But with the release of Imran Khan, the politics of Pakistan.
But this is release on bail, right, Aditya? And it's the verdict that has been suspended, which essentially means that in the Toshakhana case, he does not cease to be the accused. That's not the case, right? He is still the accused in the Toshakhana case.
He is an accused, not only an accused, he's perhaps a convict. He's perhaps a convict in that case, and that's why imprisonment was given. And if he's a convict, he certainly cannot contest elections. So we'll have to wait and watch how this chessboard really works out. Will an appeal really be heard, and then the conviction of Imran Khan be suspended? Because if the conviction is suspended, then only can he return to active politics. It's similar to what happened to Rahul Gandhi.
Right.
He was convicted and then he was thrown out of the Indian Parliament. But once the conviction was suspended by the Supreme Court, he was welcomed again
Right.
by the Lok Sabha Speaker.
Reinstated in the parliament.
So we'll have to see whether he will be reinstated into the active politics by Pakistan, because already a circular was in place by the Election Commission stating that Imran Khan is out of electoral politics.
That's how swiftly it happened in the case of Imran Khan. And take a look at this. Ladley's sentence has been suspended, not terminated. Chief Justice's message of good to see you and wishing you good luck reached Islamabad High Court. Before the decision comes, everyone knows what the decision will be. So it should be a momentary concern for the justice system. If a clear message is received from the higher judiciary, then what else should the subordinate court do? That's the latest tweet that's coming in. CM Shehbaz.
Well, yes, Shehbaz Sharif also predicting that it was perhaps a message by the Supreme Court.
And you've got both these people are categorically, constantly saying that, this is a problem. And if this is a problem, then boss, you decide. This is your judicial system. You only have to come to this institution for, well, years on to come.
It's very
both have a very similar way of playing the card.
Kabir, it's very interesting. Before the conviction of Imran Khan, the supporters of Imran Khan were putting out tweets saying that, he will be convicted, he will be imprisoned, and this is what the strategy of the government really is. We know amply clear, it's amply clear what the judges will come out. And that's what happened. Similarly, it's a tweet now by the Pakistan former Prime Minister, Shehbaz Sharif, clearly indicating that, this was perhaps a game that was known to all, an open secret, that a message was received by the Supreme Court, and that's what the Islamabad High Court abided by. So this suggests that there is a clear divide. There's a clear divide that there are half of the judges who are on the side of Imran Khan. There's a other half who go by the coalition, but more than the coalition, abide by what the deep state really says. So this is certainly a temporary concern, a temporary moment. That is what I agree with Shehbaz Sharif. But how temporary and what will be the future of course for the Imran Khan led PTI is something very interesting that needs to be seen now.
Now, if this has angered the Pakistan army, or if this has not gone down well with the Pakistan army, there is going to be a clear show of strength soon. There is going to be that press conference that we're already expecting now. In this show of strength, situations do get volatile, and a skirmish or a clash can happen at a drop of a hat. Do you think the Pakistan army, the police, they're going to be mobilized, deployed in that Zaman Park area?
See, it depends on the anger of the people and what
released
really
on bail,
happens.
somebody like Imran Khan after a long time.
But let's remember, he's not been released yet. There's an order that has been passed. He's still inside the prison. Who knows? The Pakistani police or the army can come out and say that we are arresting him again in some other case and putting him inside the prison for interrogation or something else. It could happen. That's what happens technically when you really do not want a person out and there is a politics playing out inside the court and outside the court. So people certainly would be angry. We saw what happened the first time that the Pakistan army and the police attempted to arrest him at Zaman Park. There was clear-cut violence all across. The second time when it happened, we saw massive violence taking place all across. Lahore Corps Commander's house being gutted, hens and fruits and everything else being stolen in a very funny manner. And of course, Radio Pakistan, ISI headquarters, and the worst of all, GHQ headquarters being breached.
Firing happened outside, a judicial institution. I mean, what more do you need?
No, not just that. The GHQ, the Pakistan Army's headquarters, have never been breached. The common people standing outside the gates, opening it and doing arson is unheard of in Pakistan. That was an embarrassment that was never witnessed by the Pakistan Army.
Those pictures went viral.
Those pictures went viral and will stay on. Just like 1971 has stayed on, and every time it's a wound that never heals for the Pakistan. And similarly are the visuals of I think it was 9th May, if I'm not wrong, when it happened, and they were swift to act against people. There were several arrests also made immediately, but this is an embarrassment that will continue. And I don't think personally, I don't think that there's a deal that they can achieve with Imran Khan as of now, because it's not just the current Pakistan Army chief who's upset.
What could be, I know I'm making you, stick your neck out here, but what could be, some of those potential deals that could be put on the table? And of course, whilst you're answering that, would you like to talk about if somebody in the Tehreek-e-Insaf, is there a character in the Tehreek-e-Insaf that is not going to be happy with Imran Khan's verdict getting suspended?
Shah Mahmood Qureshi. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that Shah Mahmood Qureshi is the only politician, and he's the number 2 after Imran Khan. There's nobody else. And he has ambitions of becoming Pakistan's Prime Minister. that couldn't happen.
He's a man of stature himself in Pakistan politics.
He's a man of stature. He's a great orator. He's been in almost all political parties. He's been a foreign minister for a very long time. He has served in several other governments as well. And this is the only thing that is left. It's almost like Biden, who contested for the presidential post almost 40 years back, and for 40 years had this dream of becoming the president of US and finally achieved it in a very impossible situation. And similarly, Shah Mahmood Qureshi is somebody who cannot be really blindly trusted. So I don't know what his moves really would be, but it is Shah Mahmood Qureshi who would not be very happy with Imran Khan's release. But at the same time, we'll have to now see what the future course of action would be. As of now, as I was telling you, it is not just the current army chief of Pakistan who's upset with Imran Khan because he was unceremoniously removed as the ISI DG earlier. It's also Bajwa. It's also several other key players within the institution of Pakistan Army who are very much clear that they do not want Imran Khan in the picture. So they want a new person. And as of now, we'll have to wait and watch how things unfold. But clearly, it's a temporary victory for Imran Khan. Will he celebrate it or will he play victim? As of now, it is clear
both.
that
as of now, both.
As of now,
he's
both.
going to celebrate and play victim, both of those things. Rana Ali Zoeb, senior journalist, joining us from Lahore. Very warm welcome to you. क्या बता सकते हैं आप इस समय सिचुएशन ऑन ग्राउंड? काफ़ी सेलिब्रेटरी जैसे कहते हैं कि तस्वीरें इमरान खान की तरफ से, इमरान खान की पीटीआई के लिए अब अगले चुनिंदा कुछ कदम और किस प्रकार के होंगे, और दर्शकों को एक बारी तोशाखाना जो पूरा केस है वो किस मसले पर बेस्ड है, एक बार वो भी बता दें प्लीज।
बहुत शुक्रिया आपको। सबसे पहले तो जो आपका दूसरा सवाल है मैं उससे शुरू करता हूं। जो आपने कहा कि तोशाखाना क्या है वो हमें बताने की बड़ी ज़रूरत है। तोशाखाना बेसिकली ये एक सिस्टम है हमारे यहाँ पाकिस्तान में, बल्कि ये पूरी दुनिया में ही मौजूद है कि जो हुकूमत में लोग मौजूद होते हैं जब वो फॉरेन ट्रिप्स करते हैं और वहां पे उनको जो गिफ्ट्स वगैरह मिलते हैं वो वापस आके अपने उस जो एक आप कह लें कि हुकूमत के अंडर एक सिस्टम होता है उसमें वो जमा करवाते हैं। सीन ये हुआ है कि इमरान खान ने प्राइम मिनिस्टर जब ये थे तो इनको जो गिफ्ट्स बाहर के मुल्कों से मिले हैं तो इन्होंने वो गिफ्ट्स को सेल आउट कर दिया। सेल करने के बाद दो इश्यूज यहाँ पे क्रिएट हुए कि एक तो इन्होंने सेल करने के बाद वेरी नेक्स्ट ईयर जो इन्होंने अपने टैक्स गोशवारे यानी कि एफबीआर में जो अपनी टैक्स रिटर्न्स फाइल की उसमें उन्होंने उसको शो नहीं किया कि आया कि ये मैंने रख दिए, खुद अपने पास रखे हैं या मैंने सेल आउट कर दिए। सेकेंडली जो इलेक्शन कमीशन की तरफ से रेफरेंस दायर किया गया है उसमें ये चीज दिखाई गई कि जो गिफ्ट इन्होंने सेल आउट किए हैं उनकी एक्चुअल वैल्यू जो है वो कोड नहीं की गई है। ये हमारे यहाँ क्या बल्कि पूरी दुनिया में ही ये एक चीज बड़ी समझी जाती है कि फॉर एग्जांपल एक चीज है उसकी असल प्राइस जो है वो अगर 1 लाख रुपया है और आप उसको 10,000 या 20,000 में सेल आउट कर देते हैं तो वो फिर वहां पे प्रॉब्लम जो है वो आ जाती हैं। इन्हीं दो चीजों को सामने रखते हुए इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ पाकिस्तान ने अपने तई एक इंक्वायरी की और इंक्वायरी करने के बाद तकरीबन 1.5 साल का वो प्रोसेस था जो वो करते रहे। 1.5 साल में 44 उन्होंने हेयरिंग की और 44 हेयरिंग्स में सिर्फ 4 हेयरिंग्स में 4 हेयरिंग्स में इमरान खान उनके सामने पेश हुए। तो इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ पाकिस्तान ने इनके खिलाफ फैसला सुनाया और फैसला सुनाने के बाद उन्होंने ये केस जो है वो मुतलका जो सेशन कोर्ट थी उनको रेफर कर दिया कि ये हमारी फाइंडिंग्स हैं। इन फाइंडिंग्स पे चूंकि ये फौजदारी का मुकदमा है तो आप इसको देखिए। उस मुकदमे पर जो सेशन कोर्ट है उस सेशन कोर्ट ने इमरान खान को गिल्टी पाया और गिल्टी पाने के बाद उन्होंने इनको 3 इयर्स की 3 साल की सजा सुनाई, साथ में 1 लाख रुपया जुर्माना भी आयद करने की सजा दी। उस सजा के खिलाफ जो 3 साल ये सजा 5 अगस्त को इमरान खान को दी गई और उनको अरेस्ट किया गया और अरेस्ट करने के बाद उनको पंजाब की जो अटक की जेल है वहां पे शिफ्ट कर दिया गया उस जेल के अंदर। 5 अगस्त का ये वाकया है जिसके बाद पाकिस्तान तहरीक इंसाफ जो उनकी पार्टी है अच्छा इसके साथ साथ एक चीज यहाँ पे बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग है कि जब ये कन्विक्शन हुई इमरान खान को सजा हुई तो इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ पाकिस्तान ने इनको डिस्क्वालीफाइड भी कर दिया फॉर 5 इयर्स, अगले 5 सालों के लिए कि इमरान खान अब इलेक्शन नहीं लड़ सकते हैं, ना ही वो आगे कोई पॉलिटिकल इस तरह की एक्टिविटी में हिस्सा ले सकते हैं। अब आज ये हुआ कि 5 के बाद जब ये सजा उनको हुई तो इनकी अपनी पार्टी ने हाई कोर्ट से रुजू किया और इवन दैट उन्होंने सुप्रीम कोर्ट में भी रुजू किया एट द सेम टाइम कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट जो है वो हाई कोर्ट को ये ऑर्डर करे कि एज अर्ली एज पॉसिबल हमारी जो अपील है उसको सुने। तो आज इस्लामाबाद हाई कोर्ट के जो चीफ जस्टिस हैं, जस्टिस आमिर फारूक साहब, उन्होंने ये फैसला सुनाया है। अभी रिटन फैसला तो अभी तक नहीं आया है, मतलब जो उनकी
डिटेल डिस्कशन भी ऐसा लग रहा है, अब ये भी लग रहा है सर, ये भी लग रहा है कि डिटेल डिस्कशन और डिटेल जजमेंट के लिए भी कुछ देर हमें इंतजार करना पड़ेगा, और आगे क्या होगा वो भी खैर एक रिटन जजमेंट के बाद ही पता चलेगा। आदित्य, वी आल्सो हैव वकास अब्रेज विद अस, हु इज अ लॉयर फ्रॉम इस्लामाबाद।
राणा अली ज़ोहैब साहब, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया जुड़ने के लिए। वकास अब्रेज भी हमारे साथ जुड़ रहे हैं इस्लामाबाद से। वकास साहब, मैं आपसे पूछना चाहूंगा कि अभी इसमें तो उनको बेल मिल गई है इमरान खान को, लेकिन बहुत सारे ऐसे केस हैं जिसमें एफआईआर दर्ज है, और खासकर जो साइफर केस है ऑफिशियल सीक्रेट्स एक्ट के अंडर आता है, क्या उसमें फिर से उनको जो है अरेस्ट किया जा सकता है और उनको बेल ना दे? वकास साहब।
बिल्कुल उनको गिरफ्तार किया जा सकता है, वो क्योंकि इससे पहले भी बहुत सारे ऐसे प्रेसिडेंट्स मौजूद हैं, एग्जाम्पल्स मौजूद हैं कि इनके पार्टी के जो सीनियर रहनुमा थे उनको बहुत सारे केसेस के अंदर जो वो नामजद किया गया था। जब एक केस के अंदर उनको जमानत दी जाती थी, उनके रिहाई का हुक्म दिया जाता था, द मोमेंट दे गेट आउट ऑफ दी जेल उनको रिलीज किया जाता था, उनको नेक्स्ट किसी केस में डाल लिया जाता था, गिरफ्तार कर लिया जाता था या डिटेन कर लिया जाता था। तो इस तरह के केसेस हम माजी के अंदर एक महीने के अंदर पाकिस्तान में देखते आ रहे हैं। जहां तक खान साहब के केस का ताल्लुक है, इनके ऊपर 200 के करीब जो है वो क्रिमिनल केसेस रजिस्टर्ड हैं। जो आपने साइफर का या ऑफिशियल सीक्रेट एक्ट के केस का हवाला दिया, बिल्कुल उस केस के अंदर जो वाइस चेयरमैन पीटीआई हैं, जो इसी पार्टी के वाइस चेयरमैन खान साहब के बाद वो भी गिरफ्तार हैं, शाह महमूद कुरैशी, और एट द सेम टाइम जो इनके असद उमर जो इस पार्टी के सीनियर रहनुमा, उनके खिलाफ भी वो केसेस चल रहे हैं। तो मैं ये समझता हूँ कि खान साहब को एन मुमकिन है, प्रोबेबिलिटी और पॉसिबिलिटी मौजूद है कि जेल से बाहर निकलने के बाद उस मुकदमे में या इसके अलावा भी दहशतगर्दी के दीगर मुकदमात है, जिसमें जो लाहौर हाई कोर्ट से एक हफ्ते पहले 7 जमानतें इनकी मुस्तरद हो चुकी हैं। तो मैं ही समझता हूँ कि बहुत सारे केसेस इनके खिलाफ मौजूद हैं, क्रिमिनल चार्जेस मौजूद हैं, उसके अंदर सदाकत है या नहीं है, ट्रुथफुलनेस है या नहीं है, वो एक सेपरेट एंड डिस्टिंक्ट जो एक बहस है। लेकिन मैं ये समझता हूँ कि वक्ती तौर पे ये जो रिलीफ इनको इस केस के अंदर तो मिल गया, लेकिन जेल में जैसे ही वो बाहर आएंगे किसी दूसरे केस के अंदर उनको गिरफ्तार कर लिया जाएगा, क्योंकि हम अरसा दराज से देखते आ रहे हैं कि पॉलिटिकल मोटिवेटेड केसेस बनाए भी जाते हैं पाकिस्तान के अंदर, और पॉलिटिकल विक्टिमाइजेशन का सामना भी करना पड़ता है पॉलिटिकल क्वार्टर से लोगों को। इससे पहले नवाज शरीफ साहब को करना पड़ा, उससे पहले यूसुफ रजा गिलानी को करना पड़ा, और दीगर सियासतदानों को भी करना पड़ा। और यही जो इस वक्त जो सहत वक्त है, जो टाइम है, वो हाँ साहब को फेस करना पड़ रहा है। राइट नाउ ही इज फेसिंग म्यूजिक, आल्दो के एक वक्ती तौर पे टेम्पररी रिलीफ है, but I must say one thing in this regard, he has to face music, he would remain under the dark clouds। वो इसलिए कि इनके खिलाफ बहुत से दीगर मुकदमात है जिनके अंदर बतौर मुल्जिम इनको नामजद किया गया है।
जी वकास अब्रेज साहब, I think Aditya, that's the idea. Waqas Abrez and Rana Ali Zoheb, many thanks for joining with us. That's the idea. He will have to face music. That super over has just begun and drama is going to continue. Many thanks Aditya for joining us here. That Toshakhana verdict has been suspended by the IHC. What's going to happen next? Well, we'll wait and find out. Many thanks. This is Kabir Naqvi signing off. Keep watching News9 Live.
Gautam Adani, one of the richest men in the world, or a business honcho, accused of manipulating the market.
अदानी जी 609 नंबर से दूसरे नंबर तक कैसे पहुंचे? सिर्फ एक सवाल पूछा, नरेंद्र मोदी जी आपका अदानी